Today we're taking a look at this new Cybertruck steering wheel for Tesla Model 3 and Model Y. We're going to be installing this on a Model Y, and we're going to show you every step of the way, detailed step by step, no steps left behind for both the newer car as well as the older car. I'll show you how to remove the airbag, turn off the car, everything that you need to know from start to finish for this project. And this is a really new, unique design. So let's get started. This product was sent to us by teststudio.us for our evaluation in the channel. And if we go over here, we can pick Model Y and it will be right here. And they have a large selection of Tesla products. If we go here, that is the Cybertruck wheel. And you need to choose what one do you have. Model Y. One thing on their website, if you look at it, it asks for Model Y 6.6 or Model Y 5.7 or Model 3 5.7. What this means is that most of the Model Ys and Model 3s have these holes in the back of the steering wheel at an angle at a 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock position. So you need to look at your Model Y to make sure that it has that 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock, because some recent Model Ys have been cited with just the holes in the bottom. So 6.6, so only on the 6 o'clock position is where the holes are. So go behind your steering wheel and check where the holes are and then order it accordingly, because you don't want to order the wrong version. As I say, most cars have 5.7 position for the steering wheel holes, and almost all Model 3s have that. So just make sure that you know what you're ordering. And then you can choose Napa White, Napa Black, Alcantara. Choose that. You can also choose a custom airbag cover. We didn't do airbag cover, but you can also choose an airbag cover like a silver Tesla logo, black Tesla logo. So if you do no airbag cover and hit add, you can hit coupon code and then you can put Shiva Tesla, and just gonna hit enter here. You see that actually took off quite a bit. So 65.70, bringing your total to 299.30 for the no airbag cover piece. This one has a black Tesla logo on the airbag, so looks like with Shiva Tesla, $81 off, your total comes down to $369. So the airbag cover really cost you about $69 from the total. But as I said, Tesla Studio has a lot of products and we plan on reviewing a lot of them in the future. The first step of this process is you want to open the frunk, you want to open the driver's side door and any other door. I normally just open all the doors in case I need to access this, because once you shut down the car, there is no access to the car. You're not going to be able to open doors or close. So you want to make sure that all the doors and frunk and trunk that you think you're going to need is opened. Next, we're going to go inside the car, go to safety, go down all the way and hit power off. And this will turn off the screen, turn off the power. Now, regardless of if you have a newer Tesla, older Tesla, you're gonna wanna remove this panel here. And it just pops out. As you see, it's super easy. This just pops out. We are going to take this out. Now, this is where things differ from the new versus the old. The new Teslas, as you can see, there is the giant HEPA filter here on the way. The battery is in there. This is the lithium-ion battery. If you have an older Tesla, you're not gonna have a HEPA filter here. They use the air filter inside only. There's no outside filter, so you will not see this giant thing here on the way. But for the newer one, you got the HEPA filter. For the older cars, you can just access the 12-volt battery, and all you have to do on that 12-volt battery is to remove the negative terminal. Here, we're gonna remove the positive terminal, but for that, as you can see, it's so tight there, I can't see it, so I gotta remove this HEPA filter. So now we are going to remove that HEPA filter from the car. There's two things you can do. Either you can just remove this slightly, just tilt it and not have to worry about removing the front panel, but you're gonna have a very tight space to reach your battery that way. So I would recommend, even though a longer route, to remove this front panel. So for the HEPA filter, there are just two 10mm sockets. Let's remove those first. You have this 10mm bolt here, and then if we go on the other side, you got that as well, and we just use this wrench to remove this 10mm bolt. That allows us to loosen this HEPA filter and remove it. When you remove those two 10mm sockets there, I would recommend you just leave those in the front so you don't lose them. But let me show you. So once you remove this, this panel becomes loose, so you can technically reach the battery, but that's a very tight spot. I don't like working on a tight spot like that. So let's make our life easier. There's just 4 sockets here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just remove those. Then it should be easy for us to just remove the whole panel and then work through there. There is actually one more clip that you have to remove. It sits right here. It's a plastic clip, and you can just use a pry tool like this and remove this. You can throw that in there as well. So we went ahead and removed the 2 screws here, the 2 sockets there. So this panel is loose, but there's one more thing we gotta do is to remove this, because there's the little frunk light here that we have to unhook, and that just comes out. Sorry, that was a little bit aggressive. That shouldn't be as hard, and we just have to take this out. Just put some force to this clip here, and then it just pops out. So that is done. Leave this front panel and everything here, and if you look at this, let me zoom out. This now becomes super loose, that you can just remove this whole assembly out, and that allows you to remove this bucket, and then the HEPA filter comes out super easily. So as I said earlier, this now just comes out super easily, no issues there. We're gonna put this aside. So that is your 12-volt battery, the lithium-ion battery on the newer cars. Again, older cars just use the lead-acid battery with the typical convention where you just remove the negative pole, you're good. This one is a little different because if you look at it, it's not your typical battery. This is the lithium-ion battery. So for this, what you have to do is actually lift this pin up. So when you lift this pin, as you look at it, this loosens, the bracket loosens, then you actually have to pull this out here. So pull this outward, that allows you to actually lift this whole thing up. So just shake it a little bit, and if you look at it, that whole thing came out. Now your 12-volt battery is completely disconnected from the car. Now that we have removed the 12-volt battery, now we got to remove the high voltage battery here. So this is where the disconnect is. Remember, on the older cars, you have to go all the way to the back seat to remove it. In the back seat, there is that tab, but for the newer cars, you're just going to go all the way here in the front. And if you look at it, there is this red tab, and you just have to pull this out. You hear the click, and if you look at it closely here, there is that tab, the black tab there. So all you're gonna do is press on that. So press on that black tab, and while holding it down, you pull this out. Now your car is completely dead. That was the high voltage battery, your 12-volt battery, it's out. So now you're not gonna be able to close the door, open the door, any of that. The screen goes completely dark. The car does not move. Now what happens is when you remove the steering wheel and all that, your car does not know you are there working on it because we disconnected everything about the car. So then when we put it all back and connect it, it should be happy like nothing ever happened. Now we're going to begin the process to remove this steering wheel. It is exactly the same process for the old car, the new car. It does not matter, with one caveat. We're gonna look through the side here, and you are going to see a hole on the side. So if you have one on the side, make sure that you order the right unit, because some cars now come with holes in the bottom. Mine is in the side, and that you can find that same hole on the other side as well. That's how we are going to release the airbag and remove this unit. But if you have holes in the bottom, then order that same one. So that's the only thing you gotta watch out for, is where that location of the hole is. Now we're going to take this tool that they sent with the kit. If they did not, just use like an Allen key, it doesn't matter. And we're going to find this hole here and kind of push it at an angle to the back. So if we push it, put this inside and push it kind of at an angle to the back, you don't want to push it too much up, and you're going to feel a metal there. It's a spring that releases the airbag here. So you're gonna want to go in the back and kind of feel that metal. So we felt it, and we're going to push it at an angle up. And if you look at it, the airbag popped out. When you did that, that section popped out here. So we are good to go with this side. Now we're gonna do the same thing from the other side, so the rest of the pins come out. I'll show you here what you're looking for. Now if you look at it, the top clip has been released. The bottom clip is still intact, so we're gonna try to get the bottom clip from this side. So we can't remove the airbag yet. Only one clip has been intact here. Now let's go to the other side, and that hole is exactly in that location there on the other side. So let me show you that next. So now we have identified that spring there. Again, push as much as you can to the back And when you identify that, we're just going to push this in, and it might take you a little bit, but if you look at it, the airbag just released, and looks like the bottom part is still not out. So you might expect that. So you may have to go back in a couple of times, try to release the bottom part as well. So there might also be a situation where you tried your best and only the top clips are coming out, the bottom one is not budging. That is when you can employ this technique where you go from both angles at the same time. Put an Allen key on this hole, put that key that came with the kit on that, and then push it together at the same time. Sometimes that helps you release this clip because both of them are pushing the pressure at the same time. Again, take your time. Don't rush through this process because you don't want to damage any internal components here. You want to feel it all the way in the back and then push this at the same time. So let's try that technique where we are going to push this from both sides and see if that makes a difference. And we're going to feel that clip at the same time from both sides, and we're going to push it in. And that worked. This is out. So try first with one side each time. If that doesn't work, you may need to do the both clips for that. You just have to find an Allen key to do it, but this worked. Now that this is removed, if we take this out, you'll see that the only collection that this airbag cover has is here. So we need to remove that one. And that clip is a little bit of nerve-wracking at first, but once you get a hang of it, you'll realize it is not that difficult. What this is you don't want to pull on this transparent clear plastic in the back. That is a big no-no. You will ruin your car. Don't do that. Your goal is to just remove this yellow piece. And there are two connections this yellow piece has. It is this bracket, this one, and then the bottom one on the exact same spot. What these brackets are doing is if I can focus right there. So if you look at it right here, there is a little notch, a cutout. And what this bracket does is it sits on that nut. So if we were to push this in, you see that when you push down, it releases from that nut and it allows you to come out a little bit. But right now it is not doing that, it's not coming out because we gotta do that exact same thing in the bottom as well. So you gotta pinch both of this and then try to pull this out by pinching right there. So pinching and pulling. And as I said, this could take a little bit getting used to. You gotta put a little bit of a leverage. And if we are having issues and having a hard time, you can use a needle nose plier like this, try to pull it. This is the pin that we were struggling with earlier. And if you look at the notch, that's the notch. I don't know if I can focus on this. There you go, that's the notch, right? So what we need to do is push on this. And when we push on it, that notch gets released. It gets squeezed down. And we have that on both sides. So that same notch gets squeezed down. That means you see that top part, that is squeezed down. You pull it, then this opening right here, the cutout, will release it. That means you can pull this all out. But look at this clear, transparent thing. You don't want to mess with that. There's pins and everything. You don't want to pull on that. So one is out. Now this is the exact same thing on the other pin here. Again, same idea here. You just want to pull this down and push this in. Do it a couple of times. And that comes out. If you look at it, that one is out. It's the exact same idea as this right one. Now that the airbag is out, I want to show you what we were poking at earlier. So from that hole, this is the spring that we were pushing up. What that does is, if you look at it right here, that is holding this airbag pins in place. So if you look at the airbag here, they have a cutout there, and that spring is holding that airbag clip in place. And once we push it from here, so if we do this, then it releases that airbag pin so it can come out because this piece also has a spring built into that. So that kind of throws that out. So this is how we can get this top one as well as this bottom one and the other one out. But I told you earlier, don't push it too much because guess what happens? When you reach this area, you are hitting that pin right there. So let me show you what that looks like. It's about 1 inch. That's what you want to do, is just right around the inch. And if you're not pushing or the clip is not coming out, then don't push it more because you can ruin this clip at that point. So that's what we need to do. Now this is pretty much out. We just have to remove this 10 millimeter socket here. Now this next part requires removing that 10mm bolt from the top, and this is the most muscle intensive part of this whole install. You're going to need a 10mm key like this, which goes into the middle, and then we need to turn it. But this thing is extremely tight. I mean, I think they use some of the Loctite in here, so super tight, and you want to be careful you don't strip it. But you could just use a regular ratchet wrench or a regular wrench and put like a PVC extension. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to use this. This is my torque wrench for my wheel, but because it gives me all of that leverage, you want something long, right? So it puts the leverage so it comes out easily. So that is what I'm gonna use. You can use anything as long as you're careful and you don't strip this. So my plan here is I'm going to use this torque wrench. I'm going to put this into the 10mm socket here, push this, click this into its place. Now, once this is ready, I have this much leverage. Now, I'm going to hold the steering wheel with my knees. If you have another person helping here, that would be perfect. But since I don't, I'm going to hold this with one hand, and I'm going to try to pull this out using my other hand. And this is, yeah, there you go. So I was able to loosen it, but this takes some muscle here to be able to do that. But once this is loosened, then it comes out easily. So that is loosened. We want to continue loosening it, but I don't need this long shaft anymore. Now I can just use a regular 10mm like this to loosen this. As you see, this is loose. I don't want to remove this entirely because what happens oftentimes is this steering wheel is pretty stuck in here. So what you want to do is tap it. Tap it from the side, tap it from the side so that you are loosening the steering wheel, because what you don't want to happen is you remove this bolt and this is pretty stuck, and then you remove it, it could hit your face. So you don't want that to happen. What you do is while this bolt is still in, you want to tap it around, you want to pull it so that it becomes loose. So we know that this is pretty loose at this point. Now I should be able to remove this pin here, the socket, and then once this is out, and I'll show you here, as you can see, like they use a Loctite. So once this is out, then this thing should just come out still. Like this is why, like, it's a little bit harder still for this to come out. That's why you need to pre-loosen it. I didn't do a good job because I'm holding a camera on my one hand. But after that is out, this comes out super easily. So you want to apply force on both sides, and slowly this will come out. So that is out, and that is what that looks like. And the reason I was telling you earlier, be careful with this, is because there is all of this filament there. You don't want to mess with any of that. And because if you pull this too hard, that whole thing will come out. So you want to be careful. So, but this is out now, so we are ready to install the new wheel. One tip for you all is record a video of this wheel before you start taking it apart, in case you have to put it back and you don't remember where everything goes. So now you know where the wires are tucked in, where those screws are, the springs. So I would get a really good video recording of your wheel as is, so that in case you need to bring it back, you have all of that. So just get a good look at where everything is at. Now you can put it back. Here are the two steering wheels side by side. This is the new one we're gonna install. This is the old one. As you see on the old one, all those parts are also present on the new one. So the new one includes everything, including the heating element. So this is the heating connection, except as I told you earlier, we're gonna need the chip, because in the bottom, there is no chip here. It is all hollow, so we're gonna have to transfer the chip. And they also send you a bracket to transfer it from here, because they could not fit the one-to-one bracket from this one, like vertical. So we gotta do a horizontal on this one. So they made a custom bracket for this one for the Cybertruck wheel. So we gotta first take apart all of this and then transfer just the chip and put it all back in, and then this should be happy. To extract that chip, we actually do have to remove all of this and then go in the back. First thing what we're gonna do is, as I said, make sure you record so you know where things are at, so you can bring it back. But first thing we're gonna do is remove this spring so that we can access those Torx 25 screws in the back. As you see right now, it's a little bit difficult to access those. So what we would do is first go into the back here and right here, you see the black pins. We just have to release those. You can use your finger to release it, or we can just use a screwdriver to push this in and it releases it. If you look at it, you push it and it releases it. So you want to do that for all 3 of these locations. So push this, release it, push this, release it. You want to do the same thing for the bottom one here. Push this and that will release it. This is all being released now. So it allows us to put this aside a little bit. Then it allows us to access this screws here because we need to remove those before we can put this tab out. So it allows us to put this aside and use a Torx 25 bit. So we're gonna need a Torx 25 bit. I have an electric one here, and all we do is pull this out. So go around, pull this out, put this in a safe place because you are going to need this later, and then do the same thing for all 4. So there's 1 screw here, 1 there, there's 1 here, and there's 1 right here. So you want to do that for all 4. Now once all 4 of those screws are removed, we are ready to remove this whole panel out. And that is where, if you look at it, this kind of became loose now. So all you have to do is pull on this, just be gentle, and this whole panel comes out. So pull on this, don't put excessive force. This should just come out all throughout. So we're going to pull it here, and that should come out, and that should come out. So everything becomes super loose now that this whole thing is out. We just have 1 unit that is connected to the steering wheel, which is this heating unit. So we got to remove the heating unit. And to do that, you just take out the unit, just pull on it here, and you can just unhook this clip. So it may take a little bit of force to unhook this. There you go. So that clip is out. That means we can remove this entire thing. And now we just have this bare steering wheel. All of the guts of the steering wheel have been removed. So perform a surgery of this wheel. Now, what we are interested is just in this chip here in the bottom. So let's work on that next. Now, as I say, we're just interested in this chip in the bottom here. So first things first, let's remove this pin by just pushing on it down and then pulling it out. This might be a little stubborn, just be careful, but that pin should come out easily. There you go. So requires some force, but there is gonna be the chip in there. So what we do is we actually take a Torx 10 bit and we remove these 2 screws from here. So Torx 10 bit, remove those 2 screws. Have something like a little bucket handy so we can put the screws back in there so we don't lose it. But essentially, we are removing the 2 Torx 10 from this. So 1 is removed. The other one should be removed. There you go. So the 2 Torx 10 have been removed. Now, the chip is going to be inside here. And we gotta unhook this to get to the chip and get the chip out. And that shouldn't be very difficult. As you see, there's just this bracket covering it. There's this bracket covering it. And there's this 2 in the back. So we would just undo those and that. Now you have exposed the chip. We actually do need to remove this entire chip out, and to do that again, this is holding it there. So we would pull this out. There's pins, be careful with it. And then again, pull on this side, and that allows you to take this out. And we should be able to just remove this all together. Be gentle with this step. And yeah, so this is out. The chip is fully out. Now we need to transfer this to the new unit. Now this is the new holder that came with the new kit. And all you have to do again is dismantle this exactly like the Tesla's unit. So we are going to dismantle it here, pull the plug here, and this is good to go. Okay, now we need to install this new chip into this new bracket. And the easiest way to do this is to align this blue pin with this opening here on the top. If you try to just push this in, which I tried, I wasn't able to get it right. So like it always had a little bit of edge. So what helped me was first to start with the bottom ones. So hook this in. So it is already pre-hooked in the back, and just make sure that this is happy, this is aligned. Then you're going to make your way into the front here. Because the back ones are already locked in, it is a little bit easier to align the front so that it clicks. So there you go. If you look at it, now there is no gap, because otherwise I was getting a gap in the back if I try to do the front first and the back. So doing the back one first actually helped me, so I don't have any gaps anywhere. This is secure. Now we can put it on the new wheel. Now on the new wheel, everything, as I said, is pre-installed. We just have to install this chip and we're good to go. If your heating element, which is this, is connected, unhook that so that you have a little bit of an easier time putting all of this in through. So we are going to unhook that for now. Now we are actually going to plug this in. So we're going to take the new chip, plug it in, and it should fit perfectly because it's the same type of the chip. Now once this is connected, what we want to do is actually push this in there. There is an area down here, the empty area, and there is a notch on the top. So this notch will prevent it from coming up. What we want to do is either facing up or facing down, and I don't think it matters. You kind of put this sideways first. So put this in facing the bottom, facing towards the front. And then once you are there in the bottom, then you just slide this in and it tucks it into its place, and the notches are supposed to hold it down so it shouldn't come up at all. You want to hide some of these cables here, and we are going to then connect this heating element. But look at it here, it is seated down there and it's pretty tight. You can also push this towards the back, you can push it down to hold it, but this is pretty snugged in down there, shouldn't come up. Now the final step is just to connect this heating element, and we need to find a space for it to tuck it down. Just make sure that this is tucked down really well so it is not going to affect this spring, because this is your horn and you want to make sure that the airbag spring is not bothered at all by any of this wiring. Tuck it in down really well. For this heating element, I found a perfect place to tuck it down there, because then it also avoids this main chip to fall out or anything or move at all, because this is pretty snug now. It doesn't move, and that heating element is not in our way. So now everything is clear. So you should put that heating element there for even added strength for this so it doesn't move, but this is good to go. Now I can put this wheel back on. We're going to be swapping out this airbag cover with this really cool and nice airbag cover. It's a one-to-one match, so it will work. It is just taking this airbag cover out, and just know that this is not powered, no nothing. It's not gonna blow up on your face, but you wanna handle it with care because there is the airbag piece inside here. And for that, what we gotta do is, if you look at it, there's this hard piece here, and there's this almost like a plasticky piece here. And that piece, there is 11 of them all around the airbag here. If you look at it, they're all holding this airbag cover into its place. And this is a very rubbery type of a material. And what our goal is, if we start doing this and then just pop this out from this end, the rest are not gonna pop out because these are very, almost like individual sections here. So what we gotta do is we gotta prop out all of this. And so that's essentially where you need all of this flathead screwdriver, where you're going to be doing this. Essentially, we're going to be propping this out, and don't worry, this is I don't know what type of material this is. It's like a rubbery material. It's not going to break. Like this is very different type of a material. So it's doing really well here. Now we just have to do that all around the airbag to be able to remove this thing. So I'm already feeling the thing kind of starting to come out. So if you look at it, this section is already coming out. Now we just got to do that everywhere, all around. So, yep. And I can see it is starting to slide out over here, but it's not enough, right? Like we need to do it all around. As you see, it's sliding out. It's no longer holding this in place, but we gotta just go ahead and do it everywhere. And it's a work in progress. Some of these are gonna fall out, so you wanna be careful. Now, let's just go ahead and do it everywhere, and I'm not gonna bore you with watching this video where I'm just putting screwdrivers in here. So probably gonna stop recording, and then I'll show you what we do at the end. All right, as I said earlier, I was dreading this part, and rightfully so, because if you look at it, we have made some progress so far, but some of the screwdrivers also kind of fall, and you want to be careful not doing that. Just be gentle with this step, but your goal is to make sure they are sliding. As you see, we have done a pretty good job over here and over here. Again, this is a very, very patient step. As you see, we did a pretty good job. Like, we're clearing a lot of this brackets, but there are still some areas that the bracket is still pretty strong. So looks like we freed up most of it. Maybe there's just one pin here. There you go. Victory. So this is the airbag. You want to handle this with care. And this is the cover that we just removed. As you look at it, we expanded the side over here, but it's not too bad, honestly. We can reuse this. We didn't rip anything. It just deformed a little bit, but this can go back. So if we don't like the Hansho's one, we can always put this one back. But as I said, Hansho's one is a 1-to-1 replacement. So now we got to do this in reverse. We just took this out. Now we got to put this back in and just slide it into its place. We just have to make sure that everything is slided correctly and it is on the respective holes, because, you know, we saw how difficult it was to remove this in the first place. All right, now we can grab this and align it over here. And as you see, this just slides into its place. You just want to make sure that all of this is good to go. Like, all of these brackets, they slide into the respective place and nothing goes under it. So this tabs, you want to make sure that this pushes just a little bit, just a little bit. You want to make sure that everything is going over this, right? So you want to go around, make sure everything is going over this, right here as well. Over, over, over. Everything is going over. So now we are good to go. We have aligned everything. Now we can push this harder so it can clip into its place. Apply uniform pressure. There you go. That slide into its place. Apply uniform pressure. Make sure everything is sliding into its place. That clicked into its place. That clicked into its place. Now we just got this top part to click into its place. That clicked into its place. Whew, we did it. Okay, that is awesome. As you see, everything is aligned perfectly. We got ourselves a new airbag cover. This is beautiful. I love it. The process is a little nerve-wracking, but honestly, it wasn't too bad. It was just tedious, but I would highly recommend you grab as many of this. I went to Home Depot and I was dreading this, so I went to Home Depot. These were, I think, $1 each, if I'm not mistaken. So I got myself like 10 of this, so to make this life easier here, and I think they helped. But hey, we can reuse this. We didn't cut anything if ever needed. Now putting this wheel back on is a pretty simple, straightforward task. We just have to align this and push it in slowly and it will go in. Now this is in. We just have to put this 10mm socket back in, just exactly like how we removed it earlier, and we should be good. So just use some force now. You can use a small wrench to put it back in, and then you can use a torque wrench if you want, but just make sure that this is very tight. So you can first secure this using a smaller ratchet wrench. Again, having your knees there and securing this is good. Then you might bring in a bigger wrench like a torque wrench to secure that. So if you're gonna use a torque wrench, mine says 59 foot-pound for this bolt there. So I'm just going to do that, but check your owner's manual what that looks like. It's probably universal. It's probably 59 foot-pounds, and then we can just use a torque wrench to just get this torque right. Next step is we are going to push this in exactly like how it came out. We're just going to align this here and push this in, it clicks into its place. So this is good to go. Now we just need to put the airbag on, and to do that, again, same exact method as it came out. Just make sure you know which side is which. This is the side. It's not gonna go in anyways if you do the wrong side. You're good to go there as well. Now just ensure that there's nothing on the way and you are good to go. You can then just align this steering wheel and push it into its place. There you go. This is good to go, and of course this is not honking because the car is turned off right now. Just make sure all 3 clips are in, which it is for us, and we are good to go. This is the new steering wheel. Looks pretty cool. Now this is installed. Let's bring the car back online and see if we broke anything. So bringing the car online is exactly the same process in reverse. So we would just first insert this into its place, the 12-volt battery, push this in, push this down. Now we're going to go to the high voltage battery here, push this down a little bit, and then we are able to insert this pin into its place. That locked it. Heard some thuds. We should be good to go. Now let's let the car come back online and then we'll see. Looks like we're golden, no errors, but I wanna make sure that we are absolutely good, check all of the system, and then we're going to install the front back on. So to do that, first go over here, no alerts, good. If we go to software here, press on this Model Y icon. For a little bit, this comes up, type service. That tells us that we are in a service menu and we wanna make sure there are no alerts. Service alerts, there are no service alerts, which is good. Now if we go back to here, we wanna go to safety and restraints. We wanna make sure that all the airbags are good to go. No issues with any of the airbags on the top, so we are golden there as well. Now let's go back to the unit, the high voltage system. Look at power distribution. That is all happy. Everything is connected, everything is good, no errors. Now we wanna go to chassis, steering, make sure there is nothing. We didn't mess with any of this, but just wanna make sure that there is nothing going on there. Everything seems to be happy. Now final test, hopefully you don't do this at night so you don't annoy your neighbors, is the honk test because everything was good there. That is good, so we are golden, everything works. Now we know the system is happy, time to put everything back on exactly like how we removed it earlier. And also don't forget your old steering wheel, you wanna put all the guts back in so that you have that ready to go in case you need to replace it back to the OEM one. So let's do some road testing here. So we are reversing right now. And as you can see, it is pretty easy, just like another wheel. Just spin this out. Works really well. Now we're going to be turning this way. Same thing, super easy. You can control this using one hand, two hand. And yeah, just exactly like the other wheel. This reminds me of Yoke, so the bottom is like half a yoke, but just having there helps you have a little bit more of a area where you can grab onto the wheel here. Might take you a little while to get used to driving with this, but overall, super easy to drive with this. As you can see, it does really well. We're going to turn on the autopilot here just to show you what that looks like in autopilot. So we have let the car drive, and as you can see, yeah, it works. I can increase the autopilot speed using this, and that worked as well. No problem. Just let the autopilot make this turn. Yeah, as you can see, this thing does a really good job. As you can see, super easily, you can control this with one hand. And there's also a really nice resting area up top here, which is not circular, so that helps. Of course, you can have your hand in any of these positions here. But I really like that it also has that top area. I think it's gonna be very Very nice resting area, especially with autopilot. But I like this bottom part with the autopilot. So if we turn on the autopilot here, I just like resting my hand right here, and I drive miles and miles and miles just with the hand rested here. Of course, watching the road, paying attention, but this is, I really like that about Yoke, having that straight column here. So it's like a Yoke, does the job. As I said, I can increase the autopilot speed using the scroll wheel. I can change the volume up and down using this one, so I know that both of the scroll wheels are working. And we are going to let the car make this turn. We're waiting for some of these cars to pass through. And we made the turn. So, really good job. It works as expected. This top resting area is actually really nice. It feels very natural to drive with. I was a little worried about that, but both hand on the top, if you want to use both hands, this is really nice. It gives you that comfort versus like the circular wheel here. So actually really like that. The top one, the side two ones are nice, as well as the bottom one here. Compared to a typical Yoke, the two advantage you get is you get this top resting areas on the top, and then you also get this top arc if you want it like a square arc instead of having that round here. I don't know if you like that or if there's benefit to that, but just having this side one is definitely beneficial. Now with any Yoke or this type of a steering wheel, there is always a question about how does it handle the multi-point turn. So let's do some turns here. As you can see, no issues. I can quickly go through that. I can turn super quickly. If I need to go back, I can go around. So no problem here. Let's try to make a U-turn. And even if I have to stop a little bit, I don't think this delayed anything for me. So yeah, the multi-point turns are also super easy with this thing. Now let's see how the car would look if I let Tesla park. So we are going to pick any of this spot. So why don't we pick this spot right here and let Tesla park. So that's your new wheel. It's going to back into that space. You can see how this is going to park there. You can see the wheel moving. It parked. This is also a really high quality leather. Mine was already ripping out on the OEM wheel. So I really like that. This is a little bit harder than the OEM wheel leather, but this is really nice leather. If you can see very, very close up here. So here is my verdict. It works. It does the job that it's expected to do. Very unique design, so it helps me customize my Tesla. All the buttons and everything work as expected. They are functional. The installation was fairly straightforward compared to other Yokes because all I needed to do was swap out that unit in the middle here, but everything else came pre-installed. So I didn't have to install the spring or any of the guts of the inside, which already came pre-installed. So I really like that. I think I would have liked to get a custom airbag cover, but if you did get it, I showed you earlier how to get that installed on a new Yoke or here for this steering wheel, even if you got the added steering wheel cover. But yeah, overall it's a really nice design, really nice steering wheel, very unique, of course, kind of goes with that Cybertruck design. I like that it comes with a high quality leather piece. The heating works. We have tested everything and it works great. Just a couple of things. I think they all should send a 10mm socket with this. That would be nice. They did not come with mine, so they should consider sending that, and then figure out a little bit better way to install that center unit here, the chip, because we kind of just slide it in. I know it's not gonna come out because it has got hook in place, but I think they should figure out how to put a screw in there. That was the only thing that I was like, I'm not totally sure about this, but other than that, it's really nice. It works great. Now, if you found today's video helpful and would like to support us, all we ask for is a subscribe. So if you could just hit the subscribe in our page. You can also go to one of our videos and right underneath the video, like the one that you are watching right now, you can hit the subscribe button there, turn on the notifications so you don't miss anything. Give us a like by clicking this like, share this video with friends and families. It greatly helps. Any engagement that you have greatly supports our channel. We have got a lot of videos. If you can tell from our page here, we have got playlist. We also have shorts, all kinds of things, lots and lots of videos that we post in our channel. So we greatly appreciate your support by just subscribing, liking, sharing, anything you can do to engage with our videos. Thank you so much for your help. Please come back again soon for another Tesla accessory review.